whenever you're watching this incredible production. Welcome to 21 Minutes with one Mr. Matt Corey, who is the Lightning Sellout Golf Boom Retail Reboot King. We are super excited to talk to him today about all of his experience, stories. He even sent us some sneak peek videos of production in the past, where I learned there's a 4-year-old who has a better golf swing than I do. So I can't wait to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
We also learned he doesn't even drink coffee. So you are literally high on life, ready and willing to answer our questions.
I'm ready.
In 21 minutes today.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
So I'm jazzed.
Me too.
Yes, and I have the lovely Cindy Haynes with us today as well.
Good morning, everyone.
EraserFarm's our magnificent and expert co-host. We've got some really awesome questions. Some of them are written down. Some of them, as you just learned, we just off the cuff. So I hope you're ready.
Bring it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So I usually like to open with some type of icebreaker. So the question is, true or false? You once pushed the entire season's marketing budget into one night.
Yeah, that would be the last thing I ever did. That is false. If any executive ever does that, it might be the last thing. Congratulations, you're out of a job.
Yeah.
No, you really, from a marketing and budget standpoint, you basically have to make sure you're managing to revenue, right? So how do you hit your revenue goals throughout the season? We've done some big things to kick off the season, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But no, not the whole budget.
Okay, well.
Gotta save something.
It would be a wild story, though. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like a Hail Mary.
Yeah, it would be a fun story, and then this is how that person lost their job.
The shortest
right?
Literally
ever.
Yes.
The most fun and shortest story we've ever told on the podcast.
Right, exactly.
I love it. Well, as we know, you had a tenure with the Lightning for some time as their CMO.
Yep.
And I happen to have a very exciting statistic that you increased fan penetration and fan base from 36% to 50%. 50%. That's an insane number.
Yeah,
Especially for a Florida team. I mean, there is no snow and ice here.
Right.
How do you get people jazzed about hockey? You know, I cannot wait to understand and unpack this with you. What do you attribute the success to?
Yeah, well, first of all, it certainly wasn't just me. It was a whole team effort. But,
humble.
Well, I think that you have to, you look at that run that we had. So we had about 36% of the market identified as a fan of the Lightning, of the hockey team, right after we won 2 Stanley Cups. So you think, that is at risk of dipping now if we don't continue to win. Yeah. So we had to put, that's when I came on board. I came right after the 2 Stanley Cup wins. Just missed my ring, but you know.
But what a time to come in. You're flying
That's
high.
some pressure.
You got
That
high pressure, high shoes.
Yeah, and you have to try to continue to grow the fan base. And it's hard to do that when your local TV partner, that audience isn't growing, right? Regional sports networks have sort of gone sideways, and now more teams are streaming than ever before, streaming for free, et cetera. So we had to figure out how to grow the fan base, and it's really a couple of different things. One, you have to put on a show. It's not just a game. Right. So from the moment you arrive at the arena, 2 hours before the game, what's the vibe like outside? Is it fun? Is there music going on? Is there a DJ? Is there a band? Are there prizes and giveaways? And then once you get inside, even if you're just a casual fan, are you having a blast? What's the actual show? And the Lightning are very fortunate. They've got an executive named John Franzone who's been in game presentation for forever. Was with the Yankees, et cetera. And he's brilliant. He and his team are brilliant. They put on a fantastic show. They actually program 4 hours of content every 30 seconds. So everything you see inside the arena is programmed. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
that's
a lot of fun.
an amazing lift.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
And to continue to be creative around the amount. I thought our job was hard, trying to produce content at the rate and be, interesting and unique. That guy's got a job cut out for him. Wow.
Dialed in. Yeah. And everything from, when the lights go out and fans are still trying to find their seat and they're grabbing their beer or their food or whatever, what's the hype video that really gets you fired up.
Yeah.
You don't even have to know hockey, but you need to, it's like the opening scene of a movie, right? Like you
100%.
need to grab the audience and really inspire them. And we did that really, really well.
I saw AC/DC when they were in town, obviously thunderstruck, and I just can't. I just immediately hockey.
Yeah.
Immediately
Yes.
the Lightning. That's just where my mind goes to. That's really cool that you have been able to think through the full funnel experience, not just as it relates to sports. Because to your point, like, I'm sure there's folks in there who've never been to a game, have really no interest in hockey. Yours truly, who had a season tickets for years, still probably couldn't tell you all the rules, but I had a blast.
Yeah,
and that's what kept me coming back and following along.
That's right. That's what counts. It's entertainment that happens to have a sport going on at the same time.
Man, what a job.
That's fantastic. Well, so being CMO, obviously the years that you were here for, I think you were there for 4 years, some of them volatile seasons, even outside of what you did with the Lightning. What's some like campaign or super dicey marketing idea you had that maybe worked, maybe didn't?
We joke in marketing that as you brainstorm, whether it's a season kickoff campaign or a playoff campaign or whatever, you only need one good idea, right? Like you work with your agency and other folks and you can come up with 5, 6, 7 ideas. Only one has to be good, right? So
that's true.
You have to find that one that really fits. And one thing that was really interesting is 2 years ago, to kick off the season, the National Hockey League decided they were going to have one big day of nationally televised games back to back to back, going from East Coast to West Coast. So all evening long. Well, they gave us the first game, but it was at 5:30 Eastern on a Tuesday against Nashville. No offense to Nashville, but like not a high demand. Yeah, and 5:30. I'm like, well,
nobody's home yet.
Right. So we had the challenge of like, wait a second, how are we literally going to kick off the season? So when ESPN goes live to Tampa, are there 5 people outside on the plaza milling around, or are there 2,000? So we had to reinvent the entire way to kick off a season. So we launched Game 1. It was sort of like Game On with a little E, and we threw a massive party. And thousands of people
this party.
came.
I remember this logo. Yeah.
So we had to kick off the season in a big way. We had to pivot, and it was a risk. And we did throw more money at it to kick off the season in a big way. But it worked. It worked really, really well. So it's something that the team can continue to repeat for years to come.
That's amazing.
I love that.
I feel like there's got to be so many wins, no pun intended, while you were with the team. Can you point to one that you feel like this really changed things?
Yeah, it was. I'll call it a content strategy, storytelling strategy. The team had done one series of content called Recharge, sort of the behind the scenes, follow the team throughout the season. It's great, but you look at the success that like Welcome to Wrexham and other shows have had. Not just to show the team, but to show the community, to show the fan base, to tell stories. And now people from all over the world are traveling to Wales, to go visit a soccer team that they never heard about before. But that storytelling was incredible. More and more brands are doing that. We weren't doing enough. So one of the biggest things that we changed when I got there was we had to move some budget around to create budget for more content and storytelling. Fans cannot get enough about their favorite athletes.
So true.
They can't. Whether it's the fact that Vasilevsky likes cats or anything Kucherov people are dying for because he doesn't like being on camera, etc. But the guy's got a fantastic personality and he's hysterical. He just doesn't put himself out there. So the more that you can show the personal side of these guys, the better. So we started doing Bolt's Beginnings, which is origin stories. So we literally, the first player we filmed was Victor Hedman at his hometown, little island off the coast of Sweden. So we flew a crew over to Sweden to film with him for a day and a half and his family and understand where he grew up. And fans loved it.
This makes me want to go watch this now, too.
I know.
I feel like I remember seeing some of these now because you want to feel like you know the players. You want to feel
100%.
like you're part of the story, right? Even watching them on the ice and taking part in the celebrations is only half of the emotional tie to wanting to be involved in the team. So this is so clever that you saw this opportunity and just like a cultural phenomenon too. I feel like for brands, you know, it's the old Cheers adage, right? Like, you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Yep.
You want to feel seen and known and part of the story. So what a unique way to really continue to engage people who may not necessarily have like the competitive draw to the sport, but they want to know the people.
Right.
That's so smart.
That's right. We did another little one with Zach Bogosian, who was a defensiveman on our team several years ago. And Zach, we talked to every one of the players about what they like, what are their interests. He loves to cook out. Okay, so we decided to do a little Bogo's barbecue. Bogosian is his last name, right? So we did a Bogo's barbecue series in his backyard. And the first guest was actor, director Josh Duhamel, who's
I love
a friend of a friend, and he was in Tampa doing some other stuff, and so he just shows up at Zach's house, and then Pat Maroon comes in, and these guys,
fun.
Zach, if you know Zach,
Yeah.
Zach looks like an assassin. He's got tattoos, he's got dark hair, beard.
Yeah.
When he's on the ice, no.
Scary.
Yeah, like,
Right.
But when he's grilling out with some of his buddies, he turns into a 10-year-old. Like, he was just
Adorable.
He was absolutely awesome. His personality shone through. And so then fans get to know the different side of him, right? That they wouldn't otherwise get to know.
Yeah. Super cool.
Well, pushing on that whole storytelling aspect, what do sports organizations still not get?
Yeah, you know, here's the reality. There are some sports organizations that do get it, that are creating literal production teams and little businesses inside the organization to tell their story. The Kansas City Chiefs just invested in that, and a number of other teams do. But a lot of teams don't, because they sit there and they look at content and storytelling as an expense, and they're like, "Oh,
Right.
we can't afford to spend $100,000 on this series or this or that. Like, we can't do that." Meanwhile, the stories that will live forever are not being captured. So they have to set budget aside. They've got to do the production work and then do everything they can to go get sponsors to offset those costs and maybe even make some money, but they have to invest. And too often brands just are like, no. Unless there's money to offset this cost, we're not going to invest. So it's a little short-sighted. You have to have people that understand what they're doing.
I hope our clients are listening. You know, like, louder for the people in the back. Storytelling now and authenticity, which is such an overused buzzword, but I think the root of really what we're after here is bringing people along in the story. You know, this idea of marketing used to be, you produce the message, you push it to the masses, they buy in, they tell other people. No, it's like ground up, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, social media, I think, has a lot to do with that, because it allows an opportunity to have two-way communication and ask questions and give feedback, whether you want that or not.
That's right.
I feel like as you're talking about some of these, you know, like player stories, there must have been some fun behind the scenes moments. Maybe you could tell us about
A little
are there-
blooper or two.
Well, there's
Are there
always
any,
fun. Yeah, there's always fun stuff. In fact, we would constantly joke about pulling together a blooper reel of things. But you have that with every player. I had that even more at the PGA Tour, where there are guys that on the PGA Tour that, you know, just do not want to be in front of the camera. If you ever notice Ricky Fowler is just, everybody loves Ricky, right? And he had such a great personality and he was a showman, but he didn't like reading lines as much, right? And there was a funny moment where we were filming with him and Lexi Thompson doing some stuff. This is years ago.
Yeah.
And he just was so frustrated that he couldn't say what he wanted to say. That's why a lot of times when you see him in commercials today, he doesn't say a lot. He just does stuff and he looks good, right? But he finally, and you're going to have to bleep this.
Okay.
But we were doing a couple of commercials for Cobra Puma. That was his sponsor, right? Cobra clubs and Puma apparel, etc. And he was so frustrated, and we finally got a line or two, but then he paused and he goes, "Hey, listen, are the cameras still rolling?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "Okay, now you want me to deliver a message for like all of your stores all over the country to sell more Cobra products and Puma apparel?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he goes, "All right, let me just say something." And we're like, "Yeah, just
edge of your seat, yeah."
keep the cameras rolling.
I even wanted to.
I know, right?
And he leans forward in his director's chair, an outdoor setting at a golf course in California, and he goes, "Hey everybody, this is Ricky Fowler. Look, motherfuckers, you guys need to go buy some more clubs and more apparel, and it's all about Cobra Puma. Get to the store." And like that, it was hysterical. And we didn't use that publicly, but we obviously used that to kick off a massive event with all of our store people all over the country, and they loved it. We bleeped it, but it was fantastic because it was just him. It was just him being real.
Right? That's hysterical. I feel like, okay, you talk about authenticity. You like got to see a little bit under what's really going on up there, when you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, I got another one for you, which is legendary. If you Google Nikita Kucherov interview that he did after the second Stanley Cup win, I had a chance to talk to Kuch about this. He does an interview where he's shirtless, he's got Bud Lights, and the questions start rolling. And there's a backstory to this on why he wasn't wearing a shirt, because he was in a locker room and his little boy came in, but his little boy didn't recognize daddy and all the gear, so he took all the gear off. And then immediately is like, "You guys, you're up." So he's like, "Fine." So he gets in, sits down, cracks open a beer, and they start asking him questions. And it is the funniest 5 or 6 minutes you'll ever, like, he was just, he literally says in his little interview, "Hey, I'm sorry, I've been holding this in for quite a while." Like, he just went off on his own tangent, but he was real, and he said what he felt, and everybody loved it. And after he finished the first beer, he slid it off to the side of the table and cracked open a second one, in the span of like 4 minutes.
On a roll. Yeah.
Well, it's that realness. Do you know, it's I think what social media has allowed us to do, good or bad, is be real.
Yeah.
And be who you are. And it doesn't have to be the canned scripts and the way, like you had mentioned earlier, the way that we used to produce content before. I think storytelling is the new branding. It has the long tail sort of success measurement, but it allows people to connect on a different level. And when players, no matter what sports organization they may belong to, get to be who they are, there is, like you mentioned, another connection that your audience gets to make with it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be hard. We did a series, brand new series at the Lightning called New and Blue, where we'd get our brand new players new to the roster, and we'd put them on a tiki boat or take them to a restaurant somewhere in Tampa and film them for like 7 or 8 minutes and just fire off questions, just so fans could get to know them. That's it. That is very low budget. It's very easy to do, right? And it's not expensive at all to do that stuff. But you have to have the mindset that I need to do this for my fans, regardless of whether it costs 5 cents or $5,000 or $50 or whatever.
I think the story here that I hear you continuing to tell is really opening the funnel, right? Because if you think about trying to, gain new fans for a specific sports team, it's harder. You have to make people love hockey. But if you make people love people and you're telling their stories, you can almost identify, right? Like, I hate this example. I'm sorry in advance, but obviously the Chiefs now with T Swift and the whole love story has now been able to engage, no pun intended, with the masses across the board who are invested, in their story and now have become fans, not just of the team per se, but of football and of watching the entertainment that it's brought, to the main stage. So bravo for recognizing that. And I feel like, reading through your background in the really dynamic types of industries that you've been involved in through PGA, hockey, women's sports, you brought
the first women's team, right?
Yeah,
I helped the Sun launch. That was fun.
How cool. How do you feel like one of these has been harder to crack in really getting in? And
That's a great question. Probably the PGA Tour was my hardest role, only because the timing wasn't right for me to be there. If I'm being honest, like the timing wasn't right. I was hired to come in and be a change agent, and they weren't ready to change. And
you mean the PGA wasn't ready to change?
No.
Tell us more.
I know. Massive surprise here. But it was 2019. It was right before COVID. It was right before Live Golf launched. That organization has a great reputation and good people, and like I have a lot of friends there. But they hired me to come. I was told literally come in and break some glass, like shake some things up, and let's evolve and let's innovate. But there were too many people that didn't want that there. So my marching orders didn't match with what most of the organization was fighting against. And at the time, they were still in denial about like Live Golf. Well, Live Golf is never going to be anything. Yes, they are. They're a threat. And so I think now, fast forward 5 years, they have a new guy who's just come in from the NFL. They are working on changing things, and they need to change things. They have to evolve. So
I think it's so interesting. It's like the party line of come in and break glasses, right? And they really just wanted you to put a coaster down, and the definitions are two totally different things once you get inside of the organization of what change really looks and feels like, especially for a legacy organization. I have to imagine, you know, very difficult. A lot of historical, you know, just practices that they just are not ready to let go of. So
yes, a lot of tradition.
Thank you. Lots of tradition there. We have 26 seconds. It goes so fast.
I know.
It's never enough time. Looking back, what's the one legacy moment that you hope that your teams remember when you left the building?
Oh, that's an easy one. My attention to people and the time I spent with people. So I had 57 people report to me at the Lightning, and I would spend time with every single one of them every year, just dedicated time. What are their personal goals in life? And how can I help them get to where they want to be? So it was half strategist, half teacher, mentor, and that's the part that I'm probably most proud of for sure.
That's awesome.
I think that's amazing to ask that question and it not be Lightning related and it be about people. I think says a lot about who you are.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right.
That's all. We go around in these jobs, and that's if we can leave one lasting legacy, it's the impact we have on individuals. So
I love it.
Yep. I think I'm learning, you know, as we interview more and more, just high-performing, incredibly talented, dynamic people. They all have empathy in common, and they really just want to connect with, you know, the fans and their team, right? That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Matt.
This was a blast. This was easy.
It was great. Super easy. Tune in. We have some very exciting guests coming up this week from Fanatics and somewhere else that I can't remember right now, but it's going to be awesome. See you next time.
Bye, y'all.